All right, let's talk about this phrase that keeps coming up in men's dating advice, the modern women. You hear it everywhere. Modern women are entitled, modern women ruined dating, modern women don't want men anymore. It's modern women this, modern women that. And it's always said like that one phrase explains everything that men are experiencing. And it almost feels like men are, exempt from the results that they're getting. But if you slow down just a little bit, something becomes obvious. And I think it becomes obvious very quickly. When men say modern women, they are usually not talking about women they know in real life. They're not talking about their moms, sisters, co-workers, friends, or women in long-term relationships. Usually, they're not talking about those women. Mostly, they're talking about women they encounter through dating apps, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, you name it, all the social media, and of course, bad dates they've had. And that's an important distinction, first and foremost, because those environments do not show women as they actually are in everyday life. They show women as they appear when behavior is filtered through algorithms and incentives. Online, the women men see the most are the loudest ones. That makes sense. It's the most demanding women, the most confident, the most absolute in how they talk about men and dating, and of course, the most entitled ones. Those women go viral. Calm and reasonable women, well, usually don't go viral that much. So men scroll clip after clip and you start forming an image, not necessarily about women per se, but about what dating looks like now. And that image, it's not a neutral one. Dating apps add to this, they pile on top. On apps, men experience dating as fast judgment. Swipes to the left, no matches, no replies, and a lot of ghosting going on. So dating starts to feel cold and it feels like you're being evaluated every time. And sure, that is what it is, of course. Men don't think this app is weird. They think women are different now. And the environment disappears from the explanation. Not always, but usually it's left out. And women actually become the explanation. Another thing that men don't like admitting is this. A lot of frustration around modern women is actually frustration around loss of certainty. In the past, dating came with, clear expectations. Men used to pursue, women reciprocated or they didn't, and, paths were more predictable. Now they're not so obvious. Now it's not so clear where you need to go. Women today can earn their own money. They don't need relationships to survive. They can leave any situation as easily as they want, and they can stay single for longer. I'm not saying that as an insult, I'm saying that just because it is reality. But for men, that changes the whole game. It really does. It leaves us wondering, well, what is our place within a relationship, within the world of dating? So, dating now requires more mutual interest and emotional compatibility and sustained effort. It's not just showing up and playing a role anymore. And for some men, that feels unstable, and instability looks for something to blame. So instead of saying dating is more complex now, which it is, or dating is difficult, dating is modern, there are maybe new rules to the game. It becomes more of saying, well, women are the problem. And to be honest, they are not the problem. Men's dating content feeds that framing constantly. Modern women are the problem. Because content aimed at men does better when it gives a clear enemy. Women are entitled gets clicks. Dating systems reward bad behavior doesn't get that many clicks. So frustration gets turned into certainty and certainty spreads fast. And here's the irony. If modern women were as impossible as men's dating content claims, relationships would be collapsing everywhere. But they're not. Men and women are still dating, still forming relationships, and still getting married. Now, I'm not saying that everybody who goes on a date, gets in a relationship and marries. And I'm not saying that everybody in a relationship stays together forever. And I'm not saying that people who get married don't divorce. Of course they are. But the narrative survives because it feels really validating to men, especially to the men who are struggling in dating. So if dating isn't working, it's comforting to believe the issue is external and permanent, you know, and that you are fine just the way you are and that you're doing everything right. And it's just that women have changed for the worse. That's a very easy way to put it. But that belief comes with a cost. Because once a man buys into the modern dating or the modern women narrative, that guy stops being curious. He becomes guarded. He assumes bad intent from, well, every woman he meets, pretty much. And guarded men don't come across as confident or attractive, not at all. They come across as tense and defensive and bitter. And that confirms the very experiences that made them bitter in the first place, of course. Now, this doesn't mean that women are perfect. I'm not saying this to defend women. I'm not saying this to defend men. I'm being somewhat neutral here. Some women are entitled, absolutely. Some women behave extremely badly. And, some do have unrealistic expectations. I'm not saying that that is not the case, but so do men. The issue isn't acknowledging bad behavior. The issue is turning bad experiences with women, or some women, into a story about all women. Now, once that happens, dating, stops being about a connection. It turns dating into this ideology. And ideology is a terrible way to meet women, you know? A better question we as guys need to ask is, why do modern dating systems bring out the worst behavior in both men and women? The question shouldn't be what's wrong with modern women. That's the wrong question. Because men behave differently online than offline. Women behave differently online than offline. Anonymity changes incentives and attention rewards extremes. That's the issue. Modern women isn't a diagnosis. It's a shortcut for men, or it is a shortcut that men use when, dating feels confusing and effort feels unrewarded. I get it, I understand it, but that is not the way you should think about it. Shortcuts don't lead to better outcomes. They just make the story simpler. Most men aren't struggling because women changed. They're struggling because dating moved into environments that distort how men and women interact. And once you see that, it's easier for you to stop fighting this imagined enemy. And dating becomes a little bit lighter and a little bit clearer. And once again, maybe a little bit more human again. So that's it. Hope you enjoyed it. And I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye bye.